Hi, welcome to Tiny NH House. It's the 22nd of June. Drove up here today for a few days to do some work. My primary goal for this trip is to put a window in the loft on this east end of the house. So it'll be just above where the shiplap is now. I have to cut a hole in the siding and slip that window in. And then I can continue the siding on this side of the house as well as the back. So let's get started. This is an inside view of the loft. You can see the window there, and the space just to the right of the window is where it's going to be going. So I've got to cut a couple 2x6s to frame it in, and then screw those in, nail those in. Then after that, I'll drill 4 pilot holes, one in each corner, all the way through. I'll go around on the outside and make lines between the holes, and those are the lines that I have to cut for the sheathing from the outside. drilling the pilot holes. Well, we got the window installed. One of the reasons it took me longer than I expected is I kept finding small wasp nests up in the peak there. So I had to spray them, give them a few minutes to die out, and then remove the nests. I think there was 4 of them I got. But anyway, I got the window in. I didn't film cutting the hole with the circular saw because I was concentrating on my work and it was hard to get a camera angle that you could actually see what I was doing. I don't like plunge cutting with the circular saw standing on a ladder, but I was careful and got the plywood cut out. Everything was level when I put the window in. I caulked underneath the seam on the outside and nailed it in. Had the window open last night to get some more ventilation in there. It's looking good. This is the view up in the loft of the window installed. Sorry about the lighting. My framing is not conventional. This end wall is non-load bearing, so I really don't need any headers. Just enough wood to nail the window into. After I finish on the outside with the circular saw, I use this handsaw inside from the loft to cut the corners of the plywood so I could remove it, and I just pulled it in through the opening. My trick for getting the window outside is I have these 2 bundles of fiberglass insulation I use as a table, and I set the window on top of the insulation so it's approximately the correct height of the opening. Then I go outside, go up the ladder, pull the window out sideways, and then push it up and into position and nail it in. So I did that for both lofts. I've brought windows up ladders before. It's not the greatest plan. I had to in some cases, but the the height was much lower than this. This is the peak here, I believe, is 16 or 17 feet above ground. So we got it in, it's level, it's working. Success. Here's a view across the cabin to the other loft. I was not drunk when I installed these cross pieces. It's just really hard getting them level, doing it yourself. Before I finish the interior walls, I have to level all those out. There's going to be actually 4 of them. Collar ties. So I mentioned last time I have to put the shiplap between the windows here, and can't really bring it up from the bottom because the corners of the window are slightly raised where it lays against the sheathing. I cut these pieces to size, took them home with me, and you can see here the lighter material. I sanded off the back side of it on both ends. You see how it tapers there? So that will let me slide this under the window at the corners here. The corners are where the problem is. So I got a couple of them in, and looks like it's working good. So we'll get the rest in now. I put the weather stripping tape up on the sides of the windows too. I gotta do this window before I put the wood up. I got the 2 rows of shiplap installed between the windows. That actually went smoothly. That had me most nervous about this whole back wall is how do I get the wood in between the windows, and it went in a lot easier than I thought. So that and the window over here in the peak are going to do it for this trip. I also cut the grass today, put down some lime and some weed killer. That's my septic field over there. And there's a view again of the window that we put in. I have one last question for those of you that are outdoorsmen or woodsmen, familiar with taking down trees. In the last big windstorm, I heard a crack, and I believe it was this tree that cracked and tipped over, and the top of the tree is hung up in the canopy there. But it split right up the middle. And if you have any suggestions on how to safely get this down, please leave them below in the comments. I mean, when that thing lets go, it's going to go toward the right like a ram. The pressure, I think, on the stump is going toward the right. So I don't know if I put a notch on the right side and then do a back cut over on the left. If it will tip it over toward the right side and let that come down. Probably won't do anything this year with it. I'll wait for the winter and see if the winter brings it down with the winds. Otherwise, I'll have to do something with this one because it's right on my little trail into the woods here. Okay, that's it for this time. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.